No!
What if I had a flamethrower?
Oh my... Yeah! What's up, dudes? Finally time to check out another video from Designing For, which is a part of our partnership with the channel. So when this video goes live for you members, you probably won't see this video public over on YouTube. Regardless though, make sure to head over to their channel. Link to that should be at the very top of the description as always, and go and support them. But yeah, this video is about Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is a platforming game that I am aware of. However, the only thing that I know from that game, well, I guess I know two things. I think there is a really busty sunflower, and there is literal poo that you talk to. I don't know how this game came to be and why it exists, but it's there. Regardless, I'm excited to learn about this one. I don't know, man. This was kind of weird, but anyways, we'll get right into it. Is that Conker? Is that his name?
Yeah, that's better. You can get it.
Squirrel, right? I've never heard of this company before. Rareware?
Marvelous.
When did this game release?
Conker's
Actually, I can probably see in the description here, right? 2001. Okay, a year after I was born. I wasn't really playing games since that young, so... And I probably shouldn't be playing this game, either way.
Bad Fur Day sure is... I mean...
A game.
Isn't it? Released in March of 2001, this crass, parody-laden, profanity-spewing, genre-busting, maturity-questioning, drunken haze of a game earned itself a place as a cult classic for taking the idea of a cute and cuddly mascot platformer and making it something so lowbrow and, well, late 90s attitude.
If you want the great mighty pool.
Oh yeah, there he is! I've seen some screenshots of this guy before. So what, was this game basically like a shitpost? We're taking all these like popular children things and turning them into things for adults to enjoy? I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Who knows, maybe if I played it I might enjoy it.
Give me a hell yeah!
The players absolutely could not look away. And also because it had the best multiplayer on the N64. Please don't fight me,
Really?
I will cry. Everything about Bad Fur Day was built to get a laugh. From its over-the-top cartoon violence to its unhinged sexual energy, juxtaposed over Tex Avery's style cartoon characters, to its ad campaign featuring Conker-themed urinal cakes, and starting Nintendo's lucrative business partnership with Playboy. That sure is a
Excuse me? The Nintendo and Playboy combined forces to promote Bayonetta 2. Nintendo. The Nintendo. Times were quite different back then, weren't they? Or actually, do they still do this? Man, it would be hilarious for this family-friendly company. But then again, when I think back on the Designing For video on Crash Bandicoot, what was her name? Crash's girlfriend, Tawna, I think? I mean, she was kind of like this too, so maybe it was a sign of the times. And by kind of like this, I'm referring to like the bunny and the crop top. Media was kind of wild back then, but then again, you could also say that about the internet being like the Wild West. Nowadays, it's still pretty wild, but like, not like back then.
Sentence I said there, and you'd be forgiven for looking at it.
Is that the Resident Evil mansion?
Playing it.
That is a mechanical bear with a bunny sock puppet? Why? Who thought of this? What were they on?
And finding it a product of its time. A game filled to the brim with shock humor to mask its average platforming, decent shooting, odd pacing,
Very good at this, are you?
and that Bat's Tower is an affront to nature. However, while the game is clearly pleased to be as shocking as possible, there's a dry wit and earnestness to it that keeps a bunch of funny, scattered set pieces and parodies neatly wrapped together.
Is it safe, I wonder?
No.
Let's find out.
Okay. Dead.
And that earnestness is embodied in the game's central protagonist.
Conker. Surname?
The squirrel. The squirrel. Oh, bloody hell.
Even they don't want you.
Conker's an interesting case. He's the one
Who is
sane man
Conker?
in a particularly crappy wonderland, rarely ever swearing and often coming across as far sharper than the comedy partners he constantly shares.
Really? I would have expected Conker to be like the worst one, but he plays the sane man. Okay. I do feel like when you have this wacky and zany world surrounding a main character, that main character being the sole sane person that the audience can still somewhat relate to is probably the way to go. Like recently, we've been checking out a lot of BlazBlue here on the channel, and the lore for that can get incredibly crazy, but the main character is just looking around at everybody else being like, what is your problem? Why are you doing this? Why are you crazy? Things that you would say if you were in that scenario, you know? There may be an aspect to it where it just helps the player connect more to the story, but I don't know. I don't write stories like that. I just feel like it's a pattern that I've seen a lot in many other stories.
Scenes with. He's a smart aleck who mouths off and platforms
He has the tails thing too. I know that Tails has like a little helicopter with his 3 tails. Maybe it's a satire of that.
his way through a world that's a lot dimmer than he is, and tries to make a quick buck whenever he can in his quest to just get home and see his girlfriend again.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
However, that attitude ends up causing a lot of collateral damage to the world around him. Conker's actions directly leading to the deaths of dozens of characters who,
Oh no.
in regards to how much they deserve it, range from a genocidal madman to literally an innocent newborn.
Loopy.
He's flippant, rude, normally leaves those he helps in a worse place than where they started, and
Oh,
worst
no.
of all,
Is that a
doesn't
catfish?
control super well as a 3D platforming character. Conker?
Oh god, I can't imagine trying to get that right. Granted, I did play the first Kingdom Hearts game, and the platforming in that was kinda ugh. So maybe I already understand a bit of what it was like back then.
Sucks.
Okay, let's need to get friendly now.
But he's meant to. Every bit of Conker, from his controls to his personality to his impact on the world around him, is built as a satire of mascot platforming and video games as a whole. Conker may be an incompetent little dude.
Sorry guys, but I don't know a whole lot about Banjo-Kazooie either. I know that they're a classic, a lot of people love them, and I honestly think I actually did play a Banjo-Kazooie game at some point. Because I don't know what animal he is either. Maybe it's incredibly obvious like Crash Bandicoot was, and I'm just gonna get roasted again, but I don't know what Banjo is. A bear? And then he has like the bird in his backpack? I remember playing that on my PlayStation 2 as a kid. Not sure which game it was, but I played something like that. But when it comes to the characters and the lore, nothing.
But he's still trying with the earnestness of your banjos, crashes, and gexes.
Gex.
Were you expecting someone else?
He
Gex? That name is also kind of familiar, not gonna lie. Although I don't think I owned the game. I think I played a game with that guy as a main protagonist at a friend's house.
may cause irreparable harm, but he's trying to do the right thing. Usually.
Oh my.
And through his bumbling, through being less competent than his gaming peers, through mouthing back at his crummy world and getting punished in turn for it, Conker goes from being just another attitude-laden mascot and becomes human. But squirrelian. Relatable. You get why he just wants money.
Cool. I'll be able to get rid of my
who doesn't?
mortgage and buy my car.
Oh man. Way too relatable. It hurts. They say that money can't buy you happiness, but having more of it doesn't hurt. Oh yeah. Thankfully, I'm doing okay now, but there was a time in my life where there just wasn't enough to go around. And honestly, this YouTube channel wouldn't have existed because I had invested so much time into doing it and didn't really make a whole lot at all for the first 2 years that we did it. It was in that final month where I actually got monetized here, was able to make a few bucks and pay for rent. And also thanks to a very kind patron as well, that I get to be here now as a full-time YouTuber. So yeah, having more money wouldn't hurt.
Excellent.
Hey, here's an idea. So this video is sponsored by you.
Hey.
By you. It's Patreon. Please support me on Patreon. It's we put it in the oven as long as we need, and we've recently expanded the Design 4 team. Look at all these guys and gals. They're so cool. I like them. And money. Money is nice. Give me your money so that I can eat and we can continue doing the Patreon. That'd be really cool. That this is the likeliest video to get demonetized and.
I was just about to. Considering the characters in this video, yeah, more than likely. We'll have to see though. Like, when it comes to monetization for YouTube, it feels very inconsistent, where some channels can get away with basically anything, and others can't even have a thumbnail of two characters holding hands. Looking at you, YouTube, why did you do that to me? Which is a really funny story that, I might save for another time. I've said it a few times on stream, but goddamn, why did YouTube do that to us? It was stupid. But yeah, go and support Designing 4. Pierre's a really cool person. I have yet to meet the editors, but I'm pretty sure they're also really cool people.
Until we do like One Piece or something. So, please.
One Piece or something.
Thank you.
Just Naruto.
I love you. I love you.
Is Pierre not a legit weeb?
Forever.
Impossible.
Conker's Bad Fur Day began its life as Conker's Quest, later renamed to 12 Tales Conker 64. It was a cheery 3D platformer, as was the style at the time, meant to push the Nintendo 64 to its limit with facial animation technology, showing off expressions reminiscent of classic Western cartoons. Moreover, Conker was meant to be a kind of mascot for his parent company, Rare, as their breakout stars in Donkey Kong, Banjo, and the Killer Instinct crew.
Oh, okay. All right, Rare. I didn't see you there. Killer Instinct is a fighting game series that I plan to get into at some point as well. I feel like it's been mentioned way too much when it comes to fighting game history that I can't not know about it. Plus, I think, doesn't Mick Gordon, didn't he make like the soundtrack for Killer Instinct? I'm a really big fan of Mick from the Doom 2016 game, so I definitely have to check that out. Gotta see if there's any lore to it. There probably is like insane lore to it, as is usual with all fighting games, and maybe stream it someday.
Were made as Nintendo IPs.
Only on Nintendo.
Conker positioned to be their first self-published mascot since the days of Battletoads. The pressure was on to make 12 Tales as big and impressive of a game as possible.
And then what
while
happened?
The project was technically achieving that benchmark, mechanically the team was left disappointed. Finding an identity for Conker that separated him from his compatriots proved challenging for the team at Rare, and the game was delayed again.
Oh my god, wait. So was that the genius plan? We can't find the identity for this character where it's not just a carbon copy of another character in another platformer, so we just go crazy with it? Make it a cult classic all the way into the future to immortalize Conker. If that really was the case, then I would say they made a good choice.
And again, falling way behind its initial Holiday 97 release date. Rare published titles like Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, and even
Oh, Perfect Dark? I've heard so many good things about that series. Isn't there also a new Perfect Dark game coming out too? I recall seeing a trailer for it at like one of the Game Awards or something like that. I know nothing about that series, but I'll have to check it out.
12 Tales' sister project, meant to supplement its release, Conker's Pocket Tales, beat the N64 platforming project to the punch. And it seemed like Conker 64 would just languish in agony before limply releasing. Before Chris Seaver stepped in and took the game in a whole new direction.
What can we do with that? Oh, I know. We'll make it violent.
Seaver's vision would transform 12 Tales into the raunchy comedy we know today.
Hell yeah.
And it's from this change, this frustration
Oh
with
my
3D
God.
platformers and turning to take the piss out.
Of course it has to have this mechanic. Why wouldn't it? This guy is a legend. Made this game into a shitpost. Made it immortal.
Out of him that the identity of Bad Fur Day would emerge. The happy-go-lucky Conker of Pocket Tales and Diddy Kong Racing would become a shell of his former self and
Look
lampoon
at
the
that mean
genre
face. There she is! I've seen pictures of you.
of those he stood shoulder to shoulder with
Oh,
just a few
man.
years prior.
Now this is what I call a platform game.
And making a mockery of what a 3D platformer character should be is absolutely what Conker does best. From a base control standpoint, Conker's pretty rough. He's got a weirdly large turn radius, making the finesse that Mario and Banjo could offer in jumping around a lot more cumbersome, a slow high jump that kills his momentum, and a helicoptery tail thing that he really can't combo well with any sort of forward motion. Doing basic platforming as Conker just feels off. He feels clumsy when you have to execute anything with any sort of finesse, and the guy takes fall damage so poorly that you think he was held together by band-aids and dreams.
Lucky my ass broke the fall.
Add in his pitiful lung capacity when swimming underwater, and level design that's outright antagonistic to his weaknesses, and you have one of the most helpless protagonists out there, far beneath the standards that Spyro or Lanky Kong or
Don't know anything about
even
Spyro either.
Cusco set before him.
Nani? They had an Emperor's New Groove platforming game? Why did I not know of this? I love the Emperor's New Groove. Man, I'm missing out on so many things. That being said, though, imagine if, like, the way that Conker controlled was actually the point. This guy wasn't meant to be in a platforming game, and yet he has to get through it. I'm sure that isn't actually the case, and it was just, it could have used some more time to cook. But still, it could be a cool little meta thing. I don't think this game would be too far removed or too serious to try something like that.
You're rubbish. Toodles.
And yeah, that's the point. Most 3D
Okay,
platforming
yeah, there you
heroes
go.
are your unassuming everymen. The humble plumber, the laid-back hillbilly bear, the youngest dragon.
But Conker is like, he's just trying to get home to his girlfriend. He didn't ask for all this platforming. I probably wouldn't fare any better if I had to platform. I mean, I exercise, but I'm not some American Ninja Warrior, that's for sure.
The couch surfing gecko, glove.
Who's
Yet
that?
all of them rise to the occasion, using their specific skills and endearing the player through their unique movement options to
Spyro
overcome
looks like it'd be a
any
lot of fun.
challenge in front of them. They feel good to play, or at least alright. And the player feels more skilled at games by spending more time with them. Conker?
That's kind of the joy that I experience when I play a fighting game. There's just a sense of accomplishment that you can't really get by not trying out something new and learning it and mastering it. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the channel too. I'm bringing you guys along the process of me learning about all these new things. It just feels good.
Doesn't rise to the occasion like the others.
Well, asses to you then.
He doesn't learn moves like other heroes. Conker just hits the big green button whenever he needs to, and he'll throw out some context-sensitive action to solve his troubles. Why should he bother learning to permanently learn the slingshot when he's only going to use it like 3 times in the whole game? What kind of idiots would bother having more than one type of pad to use special moves on? Oh sure, I could roll a ball too. You could see my opinion of it based on what the ball's made of. Conker is an everyman, but he's not a player avatar. He's a surrogate for the players of Conker's Bad Fur Day slapped inside of its antagonistic little world. Everyone that this game was made for already knows the tricks and trappings of 3D platformers. They know how Mario is supposed to feel or how progression worked in Banjo-Kazooie. And Conker, not nearly as able-bodied as Mr. Nintendo, is able to look at those obstacles and go, "Oh, these bats are annoying.
No!
What if I had a flamethrower?"
Oh my... Yes! Oh, Conker, you're an absolute genius. From an anime sense, I suppose you could say this would be something like Konosuba, where it assumes that the audience that is watching it is familiar with all of the common tropes that is with a lot of the other isekai out there. And only then, when you're like, you know that you enjoy the isekai genre, but you've seen all the tropes and you want something new, and Konosuba comes out, and so it becomes way more hilarious that way than if you were just somebody new to anime in general just watching that. You'll still find it fun, but you won't really get the inside joke.
Heck, by the end of the game, Conker stopped caring about platforming at all, ditching running and jumping and replacing it with shooting, in a move eerily prophetic to the gaming industry's trends and the decline of platformers in the coming decade.
Wait a minute. Is that Jack and Daxter? I think I saw Nivy streaming it at some point. Don't know anything about that one either.
And considering that this game ends by throwing a giant reptilian creature 3 times by the tail after spinning in a circle, they absolutely knew what they were doing. Conker is the worst 3D platforming protagonist with functional controls you could ask for. He knows it, and he owns it, tearing the genre a new one by finding any way he can to subvert expectations and pull out a gag of an answer to any problem.
This is gonna be interesting.
And boy oh boy does Conker encounter a lot of problems.
Goddamn.
The denizens of the Panther Kingdom are
Bring me back me missing cogs.
less than friendly sort. And as a hero, Conker's a swell enough guy to help them out. He might look to swindle them out of some cash in the process, but Conker's a genuinely empathetic person who's willing to help out someone not being an actual jerk to him, and show.
Comparatively to everybody else that Conker meets, I could see why this would be the opinion. If he was surrounded by just nice people, just inherently nice people though, Conker probably wouldn't fare too well. But honestly, if you lived in a world like this where everybody was just an ass to you, yeah. I'd probably be a little bit petty too.
Showing concern when someone who's been kind to him is in a bad way. However, while Conker shares a lot in common with the attitude of a character like Kazooie, Kazooie's never killed an innocent to get her way. More than once. Intentionally. Conker, though, has a propensity for leaving things a lot worse than when he found them.
Oh no.
Just by doing the usual video game hero thing, Conker ends up killing a lot of people. Some accidental, and some very purposeful. The whole joke of, haha, Mario murders a bunch of mushrooms and turtles, when
take it into its literal sense,
is played totally straight with Conker. The squirrel barely getting a chance to feel regret for his actions before noticing the next time he gets to make money. As long as he's on the trail of cash, Conker is pretty much immune to karmic retribution.
Is that a dogfish?
And so he gets easily swept up in a quest he's long since forgotten the objective of, as he guns down the undead, Nazi teddy bears, and innocent bank guards alike. The crimes committed by Mr. the Squirrel are as numerous as they are reprehensible.
Look, man, it's for the money, alright? It's nothing personal.
So, for the hell of it, let's name them all, in order.
We're
Not counting
the war
anything
crimes.
that could generously be considered self-defense, ignoring the accidental killing of 3 catfish, and forgiving the murder of half a dozen villagers as being hypnotized by his vampiric ancestor, Conker is guilty of killing a man by making him laugh himself off a bridge, concussing 3 pieces of sentient cheese and feeding them to a mouse as they beg for their lives, overfeeding said mouse, causing it to non-fatally explode, prompting bees to tickle a sunflower against her will, forcible pollination of said sunflower by a bumming bee in return for cash, tricking.
Excuse me? What? We're just gonna gloss over that? Oh my goodness.
3 cows into uncontrollable rear evacuations and then getting a raging bull to kill them, beating up female gears so they can be forced into a sleazy male gear's pistons. I hate Bat Tower so much. Indecent exposure, ruining an opera, bribery, hustling people he bribed by using sentient money, insulting Robin Beelan's music, sacrificing a baby dinosaur that he himself hatched to the blood gods, cultural appropriation,
Blood
peeing
for
on
the
men
blood
in a
god.
dance club, joining the mafia, committing genocide by volcanic eruption, exposing someone's Ugga Bugga in public, trying to cheat on his girlfriend with a giant woman, which isn't really a crime, but it is absolutely scummy and against his character to this point, so I'm mentioning it, attempting to grave rob his dead ancestors, detonating friendly imps with an inordinate amount of TNT, accidentally electrocuting a POW,
It's still
joining the
going.
mafia again, robbing the Federal Reserve Bank, gunning down innocent bank guards, improper use of shipping equipment, and blackmailing God. I don't think it's really right to say the Conker is a good person, given all of this.
Whatever you've heard about me, it's not true. It's totally exaggerated.
Yeah, sure,
Cheekiness of
buddy.
his interactions aside, he doesn't do much different from a traditional video game protagonist. There are obstacles placed in front of him that he's got to beat, he's got to collect enough stuff to get to the next level, and thematic coherency isn't really a priority compared to just rolling with whatever zany backdrop appears next.
What is the world coming to? When a squirrel can't even go to a dinosaur-themed world without getting mugged by a bunch of prehistoric brats.
Right?
It's the way he interacts with the world that paints him as a right tosser. If Conker's not focused on getting home and helping others, instead getting lost in whatever video gamey nonsense that's presented before him, his help and heroism just suck, inadvertently or directly hurting those around him in almost every scenario. Sure, sometimes he'll feel some guilt or level of revulsion for what happens, but we've got a video game to play here, and Conker's quick to rebound from any and every situation.
Man. I don't even know what to say, honestly. I'm just glad that the game knows what it is, and it does what it is very, very well. We don't pull any punches here. And that is more than can be said about the modern gaming industry oftentimes.
The cloud has a silver lining.
Conker's entire bad day is a snowball of bad decisions hurting everyone around him while Conker marches onward, praised by those who have survived his violent gameplay, and, well, everyone who could criticize him is either dead or stupid, and most likely both. So he just gets away with it.
Well, so ends another incident in my day. I'm pretty determined to get something out of this. Maybe there's some cash up there too. Well, we live in hope.
But therein lies the beauty of Conker. He's a video game protagonist with the perspective and abilities of a player. If you're the kind of person who would pick up Conker's Bad Fur Day, you probably know your way around a video game or two. You've seen these tropes and trappings before. You're probably as wise-mouthed as Conker himself is. Every subversion that Conker throws out plays directly to his audience.
Just go up there and smack his balls? What? There's a lot of truth to Pierre's words here, especially when I'm streaming. Oftentimes, I like to point out just some of the hilarity that a video game has to offer, because I've been around a few video games by now at this point, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and whenever I see something funny, I just like to talk about it. But this game really does take that aspect of being just like the gremlin streamer and talking about things in a way that they're not really presented as, but actually making it that exact way, which is once again probably why it has a cult following. Plus, there's also just not really a whole lot of other games out there that are quite like this. Granted, I don't know this specific genre of games that very well. Not just platforming, but like satire games in general. So maybe there are a lot that are able to capture this exact feeling. But I've heard of this one, and I have yet to hear of the other one, so I think that speaks for itself.
Trying to find not the most productive solution, but the one that would be funniest given the scenario.
Yeah,
Conker goes through his
funny.
game with the clumsy swagger of a bad isekai protagonist, wrecking the expectations of the game by trying to find a cheap solution, and taking up
Was that the Kirito here too, by the way? Not gonna lie, I still think that like the first half of season 1, where they were still in the game, was actually pretty good. And I think Alicization was also really good. Everything outside of that, a little questionable. Especially the second half of the first season. And don't even get me started on War of Underworld. It was interesting until he woke back up again. And then he just like friendship spirit bombed the bad guy. Like, come on! You can feel free to disagree with me though. I know that there's a few people in my audience that I know specifically actually really like Kirito. But that's not me.
Challenges with the theoretical approach of, well, if I were Mario, I would just shoot Bowser. I mean, is he stupid?
Yeah, why not?
It'd be really funny. And
This is Kiwi playing D&D. Like, we're out here trying to beat up this dragon, and Kiwi's like, can I just go and buy a gun? It really embodies the gremlin mindset. And unfortunately, Kiwi doesn't really understand how guns work in D&D. It's not exactly the way that she thinks it would. But, you know, the intent is there.
best part is, it comes back to bite him. Whenever Conker gets too lost in himself, whenever he indulges a bit too hard into the video gaminess of it all, whenever he loses sight of his simple goal of getting home to his girlfriend, that is when he gets hurt the most. Conker gets transformed and brainwashed by a vampire after deciding to go on a grave robbing tour, gets shipped off to Normandy and then has to end World War II after putzing about in a military base. Barry dies because Conker gets in over his head and loots a bank to become a millionaire.
Hey, Barry.
You've lost everything.
Oh no.
And at the
But you do have $1
very
million.
end, when Conker has the programmers of his own game at his mercy, he chooses to have a cool video game ending instead of reviving his girlfriend. Too invested in his final boss fight and making yet another Matrix parody to reach out for long-term happiness instead of short-term excitement. And Conker immediately regrets it, ending the game with money, power, respect, and no satisfaction at all.
No.
His subversive, materialistic style has left him truly alone.
Oh my goodness, man. This is something we need to teach all of our children. We should have them play this game. I find it incredibly funny. And I'm so glad that they did this, where they actually have a lesson to be learned. With how satirical the game has been, you'd think it'd just be a funny nonsense ending, but far from that. And personally, I think it's the comedies that take themselves seriously that are much more funny, more humorous, at least in my opinion. I think of things like Tropic Thunder, where it is incredibly over the top, and you can tell that the actors are just having fun, but also like the cinematography and the shots and the effects and everything that goes into it, the acting as well, is just so serious. If you're gonna do something, commit.
None of the quiet things and simple pleasures that he really wants. Bad Fur Day has turned the hopeful little squirrel who raced on Timber Island and rescued Barry from the evil acorn spiteful, broken, and tired. He played the game and became a bad and selfish person, just like everyone surrounding him. And he has to live with that.
You're no different. Yeah.
Forever.
There is no happy ending for him.
Happen. It's true what they say. The grass is always greener. And you don't really know what it is you have
Until you've lost
until
it.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Gone.
I think that the most defining moment of Bad Fur Day is its most heinous, where Conker sacrifices a baby dinosaur that thinks he's its mother. And I don't need to tell you that, baby sacrifice is bad. But that baby dinosaur was supposed to have a starring role in Conker 64. He was supposed to be Barry's companion, following
Really?
her around and earnestly helping her with puzzles.
Barry's
and Conker
companion?
is glad to execute that last bit of innocence, that last remnant of his happy-go-lucky adventure with a smile. And it's after this event that all of the worst things happen to the squirrel. Once he's totally lost sight of that original goal and embraced the darkness of his new world around him, that is when he falls. Conker's Bad Fur Day is the most product of its time game you could ask for. A nervous
100%.
and frustrated team took a bold new direction, influenced by the attitude and pop culture of the late 90s, and made a game designed to get a laugh out of everyone familiar with the genre in a crude, in-your-face hodgepodge of levels and gameplay ideas. It's a bold, rude, technically impressive but thematically ugly game
My
that could
goodness.
easily be called purely shocking and heartless, if not for the one little squirrel holding it all together.
An appreciative audience at last. Somebody's pleased to see me.
Conker is the one element keeping Bad Fur Day from bursting at the seams. Were he a shining optimist jumping through danger, or just as crass as everyone else in the world, then yeah, Bad Fur Day would be a bunch of jokes with little substance past.
There you go. Yeah, what I was talking about earlier with how I've noticed this pattern with a lot of these kind of stories. The world is crazy, but if the world is crazy, the protagonist has to be grounding and relatable. But because of that, and the way that you see Conker evolve over the course of the story to be more like the crazy world around him, that really drives home that aspect of what he's done and what he's become. Really, all forms of media are such great ways to teach people about these things that hopefully they never have to experience in their life, to simulate scenarios that can lead them down the wrong path, and even spot the signs to see when your way of thinking may lead you down those kind of paths. I am genuinely grateful that this game chose this sort of ending for it, or else by the end, when you finish the game, you might have felt like you just kind of wasted your time. Maybe had a few good laughs here and there, but ultimately it was just meh.
The shock value. But by seeing Conker transformed by this world, by having the hero on the same wavelength as his audience, and by leaving him in this lonely depression at the end of his ugly bender, the game dares to say more than Saving Private Ryan would be funny if cute squirrels were there instead. The edgy, shocking ride we go on mocking our childhood is fun, sometimes even necessary to grow. But the heart and earnestness of our childhood is a special thing that, once we've chased it away, may be impossible to get back. I think that, more than any parody or mocking of convention, is what makes Conker such an effective piece of satire. It's relentless in terror.
The inner childness of it is an aspect that I forgot to mention as well because of the game's style, even its gameplay. A lot of us, well, not me, but a lot of you guys probably grew up playing these kind of games. So that added theme just oddly makes it all come together and work. I wonder if this was all intentional, or if it was just a happy circumstance of a new and bold direction that they decided to take the game in. Oftentimes, I wonder about a lot of media that I see where the writing just works so perfectly, and it means so much to so many people, whether the author knew exactly what they were doing, or whether they just wrote something they thought was a good story and it just so happened to connect to people.
Tearing down 3D platformers, from their mechanics to their glut of context-specific actions to their style and tone. But it also reflects their obvious strengths and the emptiness that comes from when those elements are missing. Conker's weaknesses as a character, both physical and personal, end up making all of the good elements of the platformer genre he's mocking shine even brighter. And it's nice. Conker makes bad decisions, probably says and insults things that he shouldn't. He's no good, worthless, underwhelming, awful. And because of all that, he's endlessly relatable.
Marvelous.
I'm going to go get a drink now.
Yeah.
See ya.
just from hearing how people talk about this game and seeing some screenshots, I suppose, of some of the raunchier stuff in the game, my image of the game was far different from what the story of it actually is. And I'm really glad that they went in this sort of direction. And without this kind of direction, this game probably wouldn't have been so beloved as it currently is. Well, maybe beloved isn't the right choice, but for the right people, it just works. And it's incredibly refreshing to see a protagonist who isn't just inherently a force of good for no particular reason apart from just doing good is good. He's not good, and he's greedy, and in the end he gets his just desserts. I wish there were more stories out there like this, but maybe I just haven't found them yet. And honestly, that's why I love this series, or really all the lore stuff that we check out on the channel. It's just really cool to see things that you wouldn't expect from the type of media that you thought it was, if you just open your mind a little bit and try and see it for what it truly is. There are some really cool stories out there, things that other people have not been able to replicate. But yeah, shout out to Pierre and all the editors who helped put this video together. If you haven't already, definitely make sure to go and support them. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.